Hi everyone and welcome to this week's video. Today I am super duper winging it because I did not have a chance to write my talking points down, but this is something I'm very passionate about, so I'm just gonna wing it and I'm sure it'll go well. Today I'm going to talk to you about why I am planning on talking to my daughter as she grows up about mental health and about mental health issues, and hopefully this will inspire other people to talk to their young children about this as they grow up, even if the parents don't struggle with mental health issues. I think it's something that kids need to be aware of as they grow up so it's not such a shock when they're older. So for me, I never knew about mental health issues really as I was growing up, and what I learned about it really came from TV, which TV in the 90s and early 2000s was not the greatest for properly depicting people with mental illnesses. It depicted them as crazy, dangerous, and comical in a way, and that's not the case. So as anyone who has watched other videos of mine or anyone who knows me knows that I suffer with anxiety and depression myself. I have panic attacks sometimes and I faint when I get extremely anxious as part of a panic attack. So I don't have a lot of mental illnesses. I have two of the probably most common ones. I'm going to be talking to my daughter about all of them because I think it's important that she be aware of them, and it will help decrease the stigma over time if everyone just talks to their kids about it. Because I knew what diabetes was growing up and no one in my family had it. So why didn't I know about bipolar disorder? Why didn't I know about schizophrenia? I knew of them. I heard about them on TV. But the way they were depicted made me think that those people are locked away somewhere and I don't have to deal with them because they're dangerous and they'll be kept away from me, which is just a horrible way to think about someone who's just struggling with a very common illness. And actually, one illness, borderline personality disorder, BPD, I didn't even know that was a thing. I had never heard the term before until a friend of mine had a sibling who was diagnosed with that. So when they told me about it, I was like, what is that? Like, I literally had never heard about that, and I think that's ridiculous. So I want my daughter to grow up knowing of these things, knowing that they're not things to be scared of, knowing that they affect a lot of people, and those people can live perfectly normal lives with the correct therapy and treatment, and they're not something to be afraid of. I'm also going to teach her how these mental illnesses do affect people, because if she knows and then sees someone who, say, has schizophrenia having an episode or somewhat of a breakdown, she'll understand this can happen and it won't be such a shock to her, and she won't be so judgmental because she'll know it's not this person's fault, if that makes sense. So obviously a lot of this is very heavy-handed to be telling a 2 or 3 year old about, and I'm going to be explaining it to her in little bits as she gets older. I'll definitely start with my own issues. I'll be telling her a lot about anxiety and depression as she gets older, especially if I am dealing with some of the effects of those illnesses at the time. I'm going to explain to her that, mommy's depression is acting up today and it's making her very tired. Mommy's anxiety is making her really nervous right now, but there's nothing for you to be scared of. Stuff like that. And as she gets older, I will tell her more and introduce more to her. So I'm going to be looking, this is one thing I wish I had done ahead of time, but I know there are a lot of resources out there and books explaining what these are to kids in ways that make sense for their developmental stages and for them to actually understand. Because I know if I tell her everything about these illnesses when she's really young, she's not going to understand and it might actually scare her. So I need to do it in a way that's appropriate, age appropriate, and to just help her understand that mental illnesses are a part of everyday life for a lot of people, and There's nothing wrong with that. As she gets older and as this YouTube channel goes on, I'm going to be sharing, maybe discussions I have with her about it. I am definitely going to be sharing books I come across that explain these things to her. And I am also going to make sure she's aware of these things because it is possible she'll have to deal with them herself. I really, truly pray that she never will. I wouldn't wish depression or anxiety on anyone, but mostly my daughter. I love her so much, and the thought of her going through what I've gone through is horrible. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, especially the one about why I'm so open about my mental health, I didn't really know about these things when I started dealing with them. And that made it really hard for me to reach out and to get help. So if Cassidy knows about mental health issues, if she knows about depression and what it is like, what the symptoms are, she can recognize that in herself and feel comfortable coming to me and saying, I think I have this problem. And I hope that if she does unfortunately have any of these mental illnesses, that she will know enough about it to be comfortable with herself and comfortable enough with me and her father to say, I think I have this problem. I need help. That is like all I can ask for if she were to have a mental illness, if that makes sense. Everyone wants their kid to have a better life than they did, and I want, if she does have a mental illness, I want her to be able to open up about it significantly sooner than I did. And I want there to be a lot less judgment in the world. I don't want her to see someone who is having, maybe a mental health crisis in the middle of the park or something and point and just say, what's going on over there? Or, and I know kids, they do get curious if they don't understand. And I know it's a common thing that people know that kids will just say things. They don't have a filter yet. But I do want this to be something she understands as she gets older and won't, point at someone and question what is wrong with them. I want her to grow up being understanding and kind. That's really all I want for her. I don't care if she walks before other babies. I don't care if she has straight A's in school. I just want her to be a kind human being who cares about everyone, whether they have a mental illness or not, no matter what race they are, no matter what class they are, no matter what. I want her to be kind to everyone. And I think learning about mental health as she gets older is a very important thing for her to be able to do that. So those are the reasons why I want to talk to my daughter about mental health issues. Obviously, there's a lot of other issues that I think are really important to talk to children as they grow up, race being a very important one, especially right now. And I just think it's really important for every one of us to have our kids grow up in a more understanding frame of mind, in a more educated frame of mind, and just being more kind. So I actually would love some help from you guys, because this is new territory for me, just having a child growing up and teaching her things, and I'm really looking forward to that. So if any of you have any resources or book recommendations that I can read to her as she grows up about mental health that sort of will help her understand it, I would love for you to leave that in the comments and let me know. Now, as you guys probably noticed, there was no cat bugging me today. I didn't kick her out of the room. She's actually not in the house right now. Sequin did have a little medical emergency. She's doing fine. She swallowed some hair elastics, which I'm normally very careful about making sure are not near her because she does have a history a few years back of eating a elastic cord off of a backpack. So she got really sick over the weekend and we did a lot of back and forth with the emergency vet, and yeah, so a lot of trial and error, and eventually we were like, all right, there's something wrong, let's x-ray her. And yeah, so she had surgery yesterday. She is doing really well. My husband went to pick her up this morning from the emergency vet At that time they determined it's best for her to go to our regular vet clinic for further observation because she hadn't started eating yet. As of right now, she has a bit of an elevated temperature, so we're just hoping she can come home soon. I miss her a lot, even though she drives me crazy. So by the time this video comes out, she will be home and better, but I just thought I'd share that little life update with you here. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know about all this. I'm actually going to post about it right when I'm done filming to let everyone know that she is out of surgery and doing well. Alright guys, bye and see you next week. I'm out of breath, man. Anyway, I don't know why I always do that.